Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Why does Devin Haney get more criticism than Ryan Garcia? Now, I'm not talking about picking Devin Haney to maybe lose a fight, but I'm talking about just really being criticized, being ridiculed. I don't understand. Wasn't Devin Haney the one who fought Ryan Garcia, a guy who was juiced to the gills on PEDs? Wasn't Devin Haney the one who was done wrong in that fight? I understand how some people feel about Devin and the shit he talks, how they feel about his dad and the shit his dad talks. But at the end of the day, no one can give me a real good reason on why they're sitting here still accepting Ryan Garcia and giving him a pass for all of his nonsense. And with Devin and his dad, not giving him a pass for anything. They haven't done 1/100th of what Ryan Garcia has done. So I just need to understand the public narrative of why Ryan Garcia gets forgiven and Devin Haney's getting blamed now. Some people say Ryan Garcia walked into boxing with a built-in advantage. He does have a social media presence. He's a social media phenomenon, okay? You got to give him credit for that. They say he's charismatic. They find him relatable. And he leans into chaos, controversy, and unpredictability. Okay, social media phenomenon. All right, what does that have to do with overlooking someone who went out here on a bigoted, racially motivated, and insensitive rant? Okay? What does charisma have to do with just because you feel like, oh, he may be a fun person to be around, to overlook all of the negative that comes with him? And you find him relatable. Who, what, when, where, why, how? How are you finding him relatable? So for me, I think what it is people expect Ryan to be messy. They expect drama. But Ryan has found a way to come back and almost make the public see him as a victim. People expect drama when it comes to Ryan Garcia. And he's not really giving us that. His mistakes, scandals, and inconsistencies get absorbed into the Ryan is Ryan persona. It becomes entertainment, not moral failing. And that is where I got to draw the line and say, hey, yo, hold your horses. Stop taking it to the stupid. What has Ryan Garcia done in boxing? Now, understand this. I picked Ryan Garcia to beat Devin. That ain't no secret. I said he's tall. Devin doesn't have a height advantage. Devin doesn't have a reach advantage. He doesn't really have a foot speed advantage. He definitely doesn't have a hand speed advantage, and he doesn't have a power advantage. I said, all bad. Ryan Garcia is going to tranquilize him. So when Ryan Garcia was binging him, it was going how I thought. I said, I told you it was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Ryan did exactly what I thought he would do without me knowing he'd be juiced to the gills. Without the juice in his system, I don't think he would have beat Devin. I don't think so. Do I think the fight would have been competitive? Yeah. It was competitive since they were amateurs. The fight between Devin and Ryan will never not be competitive. It will always be competitive. But when it comes to Devin, he built his brand on discipline. Love him or hate him. Whatever you want to feel about him, his dad. One day they're talking about Allahu Akbar, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah. Whatever they saying, you know what I'm saying? Then the next day, N-word, B-word, MF, and all the cussing and all the stuff. We see it, we make observations, we're going to comment on it, you know what I mean? That's just what comes with the territory, but we can't really judge them. But we don't have to like it. I don't like it. I'm telling you I don't like it. It's a personal thing with me. I don't get into it on this channel because y'all don't need to know that shit about me, but That is something that I don't like. I don't like that. I ain't gonna lie. But at the end of the day, okay, they cuss. They use inappropriate language. They talk about religion. So does Ryan. Okay? Ryan made fun of Muslims. I've never heard Devin or his dad make fun of any religion. Any religion. Devin has been, he's been a very clean professional. And you got to give him respect for that. He got the discipline. He's always in control. Everything about Devin has been perfection, has been excellence. And when it comes to boxing, look, he's got the fundamentals. And he's a guy who, for the most part, stays in the gym, stays out of trouble. You don't hear much about Devin Haney, much about him at all, unless he's saying something out there on social media. A little bullshit at the fair, whatever. That doesn't really count. But it is something that you can hold against him. But for the most part, Devin built his brand on trying to be the best at his craft without any slips or stumbles. But when he does slip, when he does stumble, or, ends up in a situation like he was in with Ryan, fans act like it's the end of the goddamn world. When he was going in to fight Brian Norman Jr., I did not think Devin was going to win that fight. I said I could see Devin, how he could win. I just didn't think he still had that in him. So he goes out here. He set the standard high for himself. And I'm not convinced that the Devin of old is back, but he knew he had to throw something. Because after that first round, it was all bad for Devin. And he threw a shot in the second round, and it got through. And the only reason he threw that shot is because Devin has a higher expectation for himself than Ryan Garcia has for himself. Devin knew he had to just try it. And it worked out. And I think Devin is going to set a higher standard and a higher expectation for himself going forward. What you're seeing here is the classic psychology. When it comes to Ryan and Devin and where they're at. Devin's proven that he can win after going through the defeat to, the bullshit with Ryan. Ryan has not proven that he can do anything. Ryan and Devin had two poor performances out there in Times Square. Devin came back and redeemed himself. Ryan has not done that. He has yet to do that. He gets an opportunity against Barrios. I'm telling you right now, I don't know who wins, but I don't think Ryan redeems himself. I think Barrios is a monster, and it's going to be all bad for Ryan. But you just don't know. But at the end of the day, the more put together someone appears, the more people celebrate when they fall. And, that's kind of what happened to both of them, because there are people who celebrated Ryan's failure and celebrated Devin's downfall. And that's just the reality of what we deal with when it comes to people. Now, the race element, whether fans admit it or not, I know people are like, oh, here we go. We're talking about race. Yeah, we adults, right? McNicholas. Race is always going to be a part of a conversation. You know what I'm saying? We all adults here. Boxing has always had racialized fan bases. It didn't just start because Hood Champion's talking about it right now. Whether fans say it out loud or not, certain fighters get different treatment depending on how they look, where they're from, who their fan base is, how the media frames them, going back to how they look. There was a study done. You can go look this shit up about how people who are considered nice looking are treated compared to people who are considered unattractive. Those people who are considered nicer looking are treated a different way. They also did a study, man, white and black. They take a child, find the pretty animal, find the ugly animal. Most of them pick the white one that's pretty and the black one is ugly. You can sit back and go to YouTube and pull up this shit and see. So the reality is looks matter. Where you're from matters. You find even in the States, boxers from other countries get more love than the stateside fighters. Shit's crazy. But the media has a lot to do with how they frame these individuals and how they're perceived. Now, Devin is young, successful, well-spoken black fighter who carries himself with confidence. Ryan, some people would say, is charismatic Mexican-American star whose fan base is massive, loyal, and emotionally attached to him. Those are truths being spoken. Those two identities do not get equal treatment in boxing discourse. They never have, they probably never will. All right? And that's just the reality. A lot of extreme criticism towards Devin gets punished and pushed by the same groups who excuse or ignore Ryan's controversies. The fan bases are different and the tolerance levels are wildly different. A lot of extreme criticism towards Devin. Let me tell you something. If people want to criticize his style, okay, say he's a boxer runner, okay, I get it. But he wins. He's been doing this for quite some time. Let me tell you, when you're inside a ring, I don't care if it's just you and a friend who've never put on a pair of boxing gloves. When you put on those gloves and you get in the ring, and let's say you do 3 rounds, you learn something real quick. You know what you learned? It is not easy to win when you're boxing. It is not easy to win. So whether you like Devin or not, he gets this criticism, and I think it's unfair, but he finds a way to win. You got to put respect on that. So I'm going to say it again. A lot of the extreme criticism towards Devin gets pushed by the same groups who excuse or ignore Ryan's controversies. Makes you wonder, right? The fan bases are different and their tolerance levels are wildly different. Now, some people are going to say, it has nothing to do with race. It's the fighting style. Hood, why are you not talking about the fighting styles? Well, look, Mick Nicholas. Hey, yo, easy. Hold them horses. Let's not take it to the stupid, man. The fighting differences, you got to talk about the fighting style. You got to, man. This is a huge part of why fans judge them differently. Not the sole reason, but it's a huge part. Ryan Garcia style. Fast twitch, power heavy, explosive movements, high knockdown potential when he fights, fan-friendly, reckless, flawed, dramatic. You never know what he's going to do inside that ring. These are facts. How the young boys say, no blue hat, no blue hat. And when you have someone who gets in the ring, you know they're going to bring speed. They're going to try to knock somebody out. There's going to be drama. It's going to be fan-friendly. You don't know what they're going to do. They're unpredictable. At the same time, you're used to them being perfect. This creates emotional attachment. He's exciting. He's unpredictable. And we want to see if he can continue being perfect. Rolly already messed all that up for Ryan, but fans still feel like, you know what, Ryan's really undefeated. He'd been through a lot, coming off of inactivity. He wasn't locked in. So they're giving him a pass. Nobody gave Devin Haney a pass. And nobody gave Rolly Romero the credit he deserved. Now, when it comes to Devin Haney, with his style, let me tell you something. Watching Devin Haney fight is painful. And I appreciate boxing, man. I'm a boxing purist, man. I love to see a guy get in and make somebody miss, make him pay, catch, shoot, hit him. If you fall into him, clinch. I look for the head position. I look at the angle, foot position. When the referee say break, if they try to come at you in position to slip and counter. I watch all that shit. Pivots, angles, adjustments. I watch everything. Everything they do. But with Devin, right now, when he fought Brian Norman Jr., he did what he had to do to survive and win. He's always been measured. He's always been technical. He's always been jab heavy. He had a heavy jab against Norman Jr., but he didn't throw it as much as we used to see because he was worried about getting hit with something, which is understandable because Brian Norman Jr., we know he can crack. So Devin played it safe the whole fight. Devin's always been a guy who tried to control the distance. Devin's always a guy who's looking to, make deposits into the goddamn boxing bank account round after round. He doesn't want to chase chaos, okay? He learned from the Ryan Garcia fight not to do that. And he's always been defensive, not just, high guard, parrying shots, slipping shots. He uses his legs to get out of danger. And when he does use his hands or arms to do anything, it's to clinch and hold on for dear life. And he knows how to slow that. He knows how to pace himself, slow down the fight. So Devin knows how to milk the clock. That's because he's disciplined, man, and he's defensive. So that's why his style is what it is. And boxing purists appreciate this. I appreciate it to a certain extent. So I guess you could say, well, part of you's casual hood if you don't like what Devin's doing. Yo, I ain't gonna lie. I like to see somebody box like anyway. Somebody box like Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? I like to see somebody getting there and do like O'Shaquie Foster. I like to see people in there, man, catching, shooting, making you miss, all that. I love that. I don't like to just see somebody clinch, hold, run, clinch. I get it's part of boxing. I don't like that. But I'm not a person who's gonna say, oh shit, he's technical. That means he's boring. I don't think that. I recognize Devin has a very high skill set. He has a lot of talent, and I got to give him credit for that. But in the court of public opinion, excitement beats skill every time. If people want to see excitement inside the ring, it's called entertainment. Boxing is a prize sport. Prize fighting is all about making that Wu-Tang cream. Ching, dollar bill, y'all. And if you're not bringing excitement, you're probably not going to have many people showing up to watch your ass fight. Okay? Now, the trash talk and the Haney family presence. I touched on it a little bit earlier, man. Bill Haney and Devin Haney. They talk confidently, sometimes very confidently, and they overcompensate and take it to the stupid. And the confidence is often misread as arrogance and disrespectful and just trashy. And that's just how some people feel, you know. But now with Ryan's trash talk, his shit is emotional and unhinged, but then fans want to laugh at it. Well, the Haney's is controlled and sharp, so fans get offended by it. It's the same pattern Floyd dealt with for 15 years, you know. And in boxing, if you're slick, black, and confident, you automatically become the villain. History repeats itself. Because the reality is, Ryan Garcia is more villain than Devin Haney. I don't care what nobody says. That's why with me, you know, I don't think I can ever become a Ryan Garcia supporter. You know, and look, I'm 50. I've been retired for 7 years. I could have retired at 39, but I retired at 43. Yeah. And I believe in building champions, not breaking them down. So when I do the YouTube videos, you know, I like to talk and entertain and make jokes and shit like that. But away from YouTube, I speak very differently, you know. But a lot of the videos you get me being me. Like right now, I'm talking serious. Like this ain't even hood champion. I really believe with young people in building them into champions, not breaking them down. They're the future. They're the future decision makers. And really, when you get them when they're young, 5, 6, 7 years old, they can really, you know, instill in them all the values and everything they need to go on and be very successful at the next level and the next level and the next. So don't for a second think that me at 50, that I'm looking at some 28-year-old, 26-year-old, 29-year-old, whatever they are. And I'm saying things just to intentionally try to break them down. No, I'm going to comment on it, but I'm also going to make what I'm doing a bit entertaining. But at the end of the day, for Ryan, I just got to be real. I don't see how anyone in any capacity could look at him and feel like he's someone I want representing my brand. We talk about Clarissa Shields all the time. And she's more villain to people than Ryan Garcia. You know, but I may talk about that tonight. That's an interesting talking point. How she's more villain than Ryan Garcia in many people's eyes. But the bottom line is, I don't understand how Devin automatically becomes a villain and not Ryan Garcia. Now, the fact that Ryan beats Devin, well, he didn't beat him, okay? We know he beat him up in there, and it was, Devin had from like round 2 through 8, I think it was all Devin. But Ryan was just kept landing that big left hook. But I just think the fact that Ryan beat Devin, well, he beat him up, okay? I think that's the part that fans will never let go. They just won't let that shit go. You know, even though Ryan came out, look, the man tested positive for ostering. What are we talking about? You know, this wasn't a fluke. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't something that was allowable because it was within a certain percentage. No, the man tested positive. I understand the Victor Conti shit. I always say like 95% of me believes Ryan cheated. 5% of me is just like, maybe Victor Conti and his Nevada, maybe somebody did something. You would say, well, damn, you shouldn't believe that at all. Well, I mean, I got to be honest with you. What, you want me to lie to you? I got to just look at the fact that Victor Conti did say, and may he rest in peace, right? I don't like talking about the deceased. But the fact that it was said he knew how to help a fighter pass VADA test, that just made me wonder, damn, what else could somebody like that do? And that's all. But at the end of the day, fans ain't letting that shit go with Devin and Ryan. Ryan, he had some great moments in there against Devin, hurting him multiple times. A lot of fans didn't see that coming. And that shock made Devin an easy target. Even though people know now Ryan was on the Austrian, they still like, well, he couldn't get away from the left hook. So fans are they're still targeting Devin and not allowing him to escape, what happened on that night. But I just think this is really what you call public psychology 101. When someone built on discipline gets hurt, fans exaggerate the result. And that's what they've been doing, really exaggerating the result all the way to where we are right now. When someone built on chaos succeeds, fans seem to want to romanticize it. And that's what they're doing with Ryan. His whole shit is chaotic. Many people didn't think he had stood a chance to win. He got in there and got the win, which was overturned. But the fact that it was already declared a win, even though it's been overturned, that's what resonates with a lot of boxing fans. It sticks in their head. They don't want to acknowledge the fact that the shit was overturned. So Ryan becomes the warrior and Devin becomes the fraud. And that's not fair, in my opinion. Now, it does not matter that Devin has more belts, more consistent wins, clean drug tests, a resume built on real champions. Fans only see the night that Ryan hurt him, and they don't want to let that go. So trying to understand why Devin gets ridiculed more than Ryan. I did some research and came up with a few reasons, right? And you may agree, you may not. But Devin gets ridiculed more than Ryan because he fights in a technical style casual fans don't admire, right? That's the one thing I hear complaint. And even I sit there and be like, he can fight, boy. He got fast hands and everything, but man, he clinches too much and he just runs the clock down. It's not fun to watch Devin Haney fight every round. Some rounds are very amazing, and you see him do some wonderful shit. Another reason they don't like him, and they ridicule him more than Ryan, he talks confidently, which rubs certain fans the wrong way. He represents discipline over drama. He was undefeated, so people want to tear that down. Some fans subconsciously judge him through racial stereotypes, right? It happens. He's black. He's a black fighter, so they're going to have horrible things to say about him just based on stereotypes. It's the reality we live in. And everybody is subject to that, but we're talking about Devin and Ryan, and this is something that Devin has to deal with. Ryan's seen as an underdog that's supposed to under-deliver, so expectations are lower for him. So the fact that he comes and gets a win over Devin, he did what he did to Devin, it just makes Devin look a little bit crazy to fans because they're like, oh, maybe you're not all that. And Ryan, doing what he did, gave people emotional bragging rights just about Ryan. He did beat Devin no matter what was overturned. They still in their mind see it as, we're going to keep bragging on it because, in our minds, Ryan defeated him and you and Victor Conti and your connections were able to come out here and save your undefeated record. And, that's not fair, but that's just how some people see it. And Devin doesn't create chaos out the ring, so he gets graded only on performance. Ryan gets superstar privilege because his fan base is enormous and they're loud. So, in short, Devin is judged on wins. Ryan's judged more on his vibes. Two different grading curves, you know what I'm saying? And it's just across the board unfair to Devin. It's unfair to Devin. Devin's a clean fighter, right? He's a clean fighter. He's a disciplined athlete. a multi-division champion, a technician who consistently takes on real challenges. Ryan Garcia is popular, talented, and unpredictable, yet Ryan receives more forgiveness and Devin receives more criticism, even though Devin is the more consistent and professional fighter. And that's where the unfairness comes in. Fans reward chaos and punish discipline. It's backwards, but it's a reality. And this shit about Devin, disciplined athlete. For that man to get down to 135, where he was already fighting at 140, and they made a choice to go down further to 135. And for him to get down and look so ghoulish, look like he was within an inch of death. And for him to be able to do that time and time and time again. You know what kind of discipline that takes? When I retired from the military, I was about 224. Now, I would say me at 205, I'm heading to Hollywood. I'm on the red carpet at 205, especially in the gym and everything. At 205, I'm fucking heading to Hollywood. There's always, matter of fact, a friend of mine used to call me Hollywood, Hollywood. Whole story behind that, which I ain't gonna talk about it. But 205 is the weight for me. At 220 something, I'm straight. But after I retired, you know, with having 4 sons and, you know, not managing my time right, going walking instead of running and going to the gym, stopped going to the gym as much, lifting weights. I started to get comfortable. I ballooned up to 278. And all them clothes I had in there, man, I couldn't wear that. And then my sons used to walk by and hit my belly. And one day, my son saw me, you know, I was looking at pictures when I was younger. He just like, yo, man, he saw the boxing picture. He saw when I used to work out. He saw all the muscles and all that shit. And he was like, what the fuck? He was like, yo, Dad, you get back like this. And I'm like, but when you guys came, things changed, you know, like I didn't have all that time. And I wasn't gonna leave and go to the gym and miss out on time with y'all when you guys were small. So now that my kids are older, right? And the baby, he's 8. So he's a big boy. He can handle himself. I cook food. He go in there and get his rice, get his little meat, his little vegetables, get his salad. He microwave his shit, get his bowl with his salad. It's a trip to watch him, but it's self-sufficient. So in the morning I get up and I said, you know what, I have the discipline. I got to lock in here. So I went back running, man, and I'm down to 229 now from 278 from August 10th, August, September, October, November. So yeah, and I would be down to 205 already, but you know, hey, you know, I still got some work to do. But what I'm saying is that discipline, I know what it takes to do to get yourself in shape. But to see what Devin has consistently done, especially at them lower weights, that would be like me trying to cut back down to 185. I'm 6 feet tall. You know what I'm saying? Muscular. To try to think I could cut down to 180. I used to box at 160. I just can't see that. So when I really sit here and think about the discipline Devin had to get down to 135, is crazy. That shit is crazy to me. So I respect Devin Haney a lot, man. And a lot of times when I talk about this boxing stuff, I kind of try to relate to it and say, yo, because I've done a lot of things these guys have done, not as a professional boxer, but some of the mistakes they're making, the good things they're doing, from investing, discipline, dealing with bullshit. I've dealt with all that. And I can sit back and just identify with these guys. I even identify with Ryan Garcia. Sometimes people get you wrong. What comes out your mouth, you can't take it back. Even I had to learn that shit. But it's unfair for Devin to receive more criticism than Ryan. And I truly believe that, and I don't think that's going to change. At the end of the day, Devin's a clean fighter, disciplined athlete, multi-division champion, a technician who consistently takes on real challenges. Who would have thought he would have went after Brian Norman Jr.? Even though I still think he had a plan for his 3 fights, 1 with Ramirez, 2 with Ryan. Got stuck with Brian Norman Jr., and he went and did the business. You got to give him credit. And you should give him more forgiveness than you give Ryan. To me, Ryan should get the criticism. Devin should get the forgiveness, not the other way around the way it is. Anyway, I'm about to sit here and set up for tonight's live. Y'all keep cool. Go get me a coffee, man. I've been out all day. But yo, shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. Become a member to the channel, subscribe to the channel, and leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. Yo, I'm in the breeze.